And now, it's that time of the week once again. Welcome to the Departure Lounge podcast with your hosts, Tom Whittle and Steve Wooldridge. Your ticket to the home of aviation podcasts. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to episode, what are we on? 74. I get so lost in what we're doing. Episode 74 of the Departure Lounge live here on the Departure Lounge YouTube channel. And of course, we're back live on Visions International. So hello to everybody watching on both channels. I hope you are well this evening on a very warm evening. My name is Tom Whittle, and joining me as always is, of course, our co-host, Steve Wooldridge. Steve, very good evening to you. How are you on this very warm, and I mean very warm, Sunday evening?
Honestly, we were chatting about it just now. It's been absolutely brutal. Like, I'm built for comfort, not speed, so it's particularly hit me hard having to rolls of puppy fat round the middle. It would be fair to say, but there you go. I'll be ahead of the game in the winter, so that's the main thing. Oh. We have an early comment, actually, Tom. You said
correct. I still haven't found them. That's purely because I haven't bothered looking for them. I just haven't bothered looking for them.
Well, it's counterproductive. If you can't have your glasses, you can't find your glasses. That's going to be a roundabout thing, isn't it?
I don't need them. They just help with my eyes to the fact that I don't get burnt retinas through the computer screen.
Yeah, it's always helpful.
They're actually blue light. Is it blue light glasses?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Stop the enormous amount of blue light going into my eyes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other than that, you all good?
All good. Yeah, all good. Can't really complain. Went and bought myself another haul of models today. So
nice.
Yeah,
Any particular highlights?
One particular highlight. I'll just quickly show the box off.
Look at that. Beauty. That's a rare,
rare
as well, isn't it?
So a rather rare Herpa 1200 Tupolev 95 Bear. Nice. Can't find that anywhere on the internet. You can, but not this particular one. So yeah, not too bad. But other than that, yeah, pretty good. Apart from, like say, really boiling in the heat. But thankfully it ends tomorrow, so bring it on.
Yeah, I'm just chuckling that my brother suggested have a look around the room, and the bit that's in focus would be where the glasses are.
Yeah, I'm not doing that now. I'll be here forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, that's fine. Right, I will bring you back shortly.
Yeah, nice one, mate.
Also, joining us this evening, I don't have a graphic. That's really bad of me. Let me just very quickly put one up. Hold on. In fact, you know what? You don't need an introduction. It is, of course, for the second time on the show, Jeb Brooks. Jeb, a very good afternoon to you. How are you?
I am so well. I'm glad that it's a little cooler here in North Carolina than it is for you.
How much cooler is it?
Significantly, actually. It's perfect here. It's perfect,
Yeah, not here, unfortunately. But
I think Transatlantic Allison nailed her comment here about how you're going to be complaining about how it's too wet or cold soon. So
wouldn't be English if it weren't the case. If we weren't, it's too hot, and then the winter comes. Oh, it's too cold. It's too wet. Can't do nothing. It's like the news outlets here have been complaining about, like, the farmers and stuff. Farmers have been complaining about how it's too dry, you can't do anything else like that. So come the winter, when it's too wet and they still can't do anything, it's still all over the news and all sorts. But yeah, other than that, it is what it is. It ends for us tomorrow. Thankfully, we've got thunderstorms coming. So
great!
I can't wait. I can't wait. But yeah. So how have you been since the last time you were on?
Very well. I'm so excited to be with you. It's always nice to chat and to spend some time with your audience. It's a real highlight. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's that. Well, as you know, it's our pleasure to have you on, and of course, we know how busy you are going from country to country. So yeah, so to spend some time with us is fantastic. So yeah, thank you very much. Let's bring back and put him in the right place, Steve. So everyone, say hello to everybody.
Hi,
Evening,
Steve.
Jeb. How are you, mate? You good?
I have nothing to complain about in the world.
There you go. That's a very good kind of positive outlook on things.
Wouldn't do well in England, though. Yeah, wouldn't do well in England if I never complained about it.
Yeah,
I'm very proudly American. I mean, I don't hide it well.
We've already had that discussion about what certain things and how the Americans do things, how we do things. We've already had that discussion. I'm sure we'll have that again at some point. But yes, so let's jump into just a small bit of housekeeping before we go into tonight's show. So we are on social media. You will find them in the description below, or I will put them into the chat myself throughout the evening. You can find out and keep up to date with pretty much anything that happens with the channel. Major changes happening, which we'll go through either shortly or a little bit later on. But yeah, you can follow us on there. We also have a shop, which you can also find, which will go into the description below, and of course the chat as the evening goes on. You can buy your merch from there, including one particular piece, which will be coming off the market straight after the show, and there's a good reason for that, and we'll get to that a little bit later. You can also join our Facebook community group, where a lot of people join to share their photos and pretty much anything to do with aviation. It's a wonderful community, so do get involved if you like that sort of environment. And of course, if you wish to be a guest on the show, like Jeb is this evening, you can send us a message on the social medias and get in touch with us, and we'll get you on the show as soon as we can. So, Steve, I think the appropriate moment is probably now, before we actually get into the chat with Jeb, as to why a certain piece of merch is coming off the shop, if you'd like to make your little announcement.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, or fortunately, this is going to be my last show tonight. Unfortunately, other commitments have caught up, and I haven't got the time that the show deserves anymore. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to step aside. But whoever takes it over, it'll be a wonderful opportunity. I'll thank you later. But the fact I've had this opportunity, people such as Jeb and Noel Phillips, and that, it's been unbelievable. Like an absolute sort of, it's a tinge with a lot of sadness, but it's an opportunity for someone else to step in my shoes and get to sort of live the dream, as it were. So it's whilst it's sad, it's an exciting time for the show as well. So yeah.
Yes, so throughout the evening, what we would like from people in the comments, if they can think of a particular moment, is some of Steve's best bits. I can think of a few already. So if Steve, any moment that you can think of that Steve has made you laugh or anything, react in a certain way, do get them into the comments, and we'll get them shared throughout the evening. A quick congratulations.
Every time he was off screen, that was the best.
Every time he was off screen. Dear me. Here we go. It's going to be one of those evenings. But no, a very quick sort of congratulations to Jeb, who I've been told you've recently been married since the last time you were on.
Yeah, you nailed it. So Ian, thank you for pointing that out. The last time I was on was in July 2021, we decided. So yeah, we Suzanne and I got married in October. So that certainly has been probably the most significant change since we were last on. And I also want to echo the enthusiasm, by the way, for Steve and what a great job you've done here. And congratulations on such accomplishments in this incredible podcast. So that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot.
Wonderful.
I also, if I can just jump in real quick and say, I noticed that my good friend Blake Edgington is in the comments. It's so good to hear from Blake, a great friend. We've have never got to fly together, but we certainly have spent a little time on the ground together, which was cool. So, so nice to hear from Blake.
There he is saying hi, everybody. So hi to you, Blake. Thank you for joining us this afternoon/evening. It's always weird when you do it like this because you have to go. It's afternoon for someone. Do you go afternoon? Do you go evening? Do you confuse people? Or
I think the podcast is called the Departure Lounge, which means we should embrace the concept of a lounge, which means there's no time.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think.
Yeah, nice.
Not a wide word spoken.
Like we could have got to follow your honeymoon to a point, and obviously it finished with that amazing Emirates trip home. Is it like that aside? Because it clearly would have been with the highlight. What that little trip on honeymoon really kind of stands out for you?
For me, it'd be Qatar. So that was the first time we flew Q Suites. First time I flew Qatar. And there's sort of so much buzz around the Q Suite product, and like it's so good you don't need first class, and like that's it. It is really a spectacular design. It's a super comfortable 1-2-1 configuration where you have like so much space. So for me, the standout highlight, yeah, you're right. I mean, Emirates first class on an A380 is like next level. There's no doubt. But in terms of like the most memorable experience, it'd have to be the Q Suites. I mean, that was just so special.
Yeah, no. Yeah, obviously that's obviously why I asked it, because the Emirates is so beyond what's sort of expected. It's just you get picked up from the hotel and taken to your own terminal and all that business, isn't it? It's a different level. It's just bonkers.
It's crazy, and it's. I feel like this is something I've said several times about stuff, but it's true of this. It's like it's better than it has any right to be.
I'll jump in very quickly, and I've just been reminded. I will do a quick shout out to Ian and his daughter Tian, who currently. I mean, Ian should have been with us tonight, but he's not, because unfortunately he and Tian both have COVID. So, shout out to you guys, and speedy recovery on that. I know, Steve, you had it a couple of weeks ago, and now it's found its way to Ian. So best wishes.
Yeah, do you know the?
Go on.
I sent him some post recently, and I licked it for that. Unlucky. Chemical warfare. That. Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to you too. But yeah, so I mean, Jeb, you've been on quite a few sort of traveling wise. You've been to some really interesting places, not just by air but by train as well. What would you say has been sort of, especially since the last time you were on here, sort of your most memorable train sort of experience that you've had?
I'm so glad you asked about trains, and I think we chatted a little bit about them the last time. I started making YouTube videos because, like most of your listeners, I love airplanes and aviation, and I'm just a true aviation enthusiast. And then, every now and then, like a YouTube video about a train would come up, and I'd be like, "That's not that cool. I don't want to watch that." So then I guess it was summer of 2020, Suzanne said, "I really want to take a train. I want to do a train trip." And I'm like, "I don't know about that. I don't know. That doesn't sound that great." And she pointed me to my friend Paul Lucas's train videos. And I started watching those, and I was like, "Okay, this does look pretty cool." I mean, it's similar to aviation in a way. I could get into this, and so we took a train trip, and it absolutely changed my life in terms of just how incredible the experience was, how relaxing it was. So we've had such good fortune to take some amazing train trips. But to your question, the most incredible train experience I've had since we last chatted would have to be the Andean Explorer, which goes through Peru from Cusco to Arequipa, and it's just unbelievable scenery. I love South America. I love the history there. I love the geography, the everything, and it was just next level. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, do you know what I really liked about that train trip? the end carriage where you could stand outside. It's completely alien because trains in the UK, it's much like a plane. You get to the station, the door's shut, and that's your lot. It's just aircon. So the fact you could stand out on the back of that train was phenomenal. It must have been, some experience. And like you say, the scenery, and I think that was the one you had to go up like a really kind of steep incline, and the train was just about making its way up. So it was absolutely
we got very high in terms of altitude, but it was we lucked out with the weather. I mean, the weather was perfect. The views, but you're right, that back end where we were outside while we were traveling was next level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You scored an upgrade on that as well, didn't you? It was like a house almost where you went in the end.
We did, and I one of the nice things about this kind of format is I can really explain more. So one of the things we've seen a lot in the comments on that video are people who don't believe that it was an upgrade. They think they saw us making a YouTube video or whatever, or they knew who we were. They didn't. So in terms of breaking news, I literally it's just my iPhone. That's how we make our videos. So it's not like we use the big cameras and all that. So they didn't know that. The reason we got that upgrade from the mid-sized room, kind of business class to first class, was because the room next to ours, the sort of first class room next to ours, was the one that whoever booked it didn't show up for. So it was pure chance. And that was really special. Although I'll tell you this, I think that the better room on that train, if you've seen that video, the room we were in had two twin beds sort of next to each other, with a nightstand between them. The bed we got, or the room we got, had one double bed, which was actually smaller, so we had less space for the two of us. So frankly, the upgrade was kind of a downgrade in a way.
Oh, really?
But wouldn't trade it for the world. It was still incredible. There was more space. It was like, don't think I'm incredibly grateful for what happened. But I think
I was impressed with how efficient they were with like engineers and stuff. I know on that video you had a small water leak or something, and it was fixed in like next to no time, wasn't it? It was amazing how efficient the service was on there.
No, it was. Well, and here's the thing about that. I think it's important. Like, don't forget this train. I talked to the train manager for a long time about this thing. It sat unused for like 3 years. And any machine that sits that long, like there are going to be things that break that you can't, figure out. And so he tried to, he went through the train himself with one engineer, and they were like working through everything. And we were on the second trip for that train, and so whoever had the room we were in on that first trip did not take a shower during the first trip.
Well, that's some breaking news.
and so it was brutal, but they did get it done pretty quickly. Like to your point about efficiency, they nailed it.
You'll have to sort of just remind, how long was that train journey? It was like
it was 2
nights. 2 or 3 days, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, 3 days, 2 nights on that train. But that was a really cool experience because the train stopped at night, so you didn't miss any scenery, and that's the best part of Peru is the scenery.
Fantastic, yeah. It's quite interesting because normally they just any sort of, especially like train videos that I've sort of come across from, like say, like Paul Lucas or yourself or any other sort of train videos. It's just literally straight through until because it's like a long. Longer trip than that, but they don't stop. So, you get the opportunity to actually see everything that you want to see rather than you being asleep and then missing out on certain things. 1, because it's dark, and 2, because you'll be asleep. So it's quite interesting. It must have been quite cool as well to kind of be like, at least I ain't got to, potentially miss X, Y, Z scenery because these guys are actually stopping. It's quite unique, I suppose.
Well, it's a sort of important difference, right? Because most of the I shouldn't say most, many trains are really truly just about transportation, right? This is a bit of a kind of like a riverboat cruise situation where it's about like let's like maximize what people see, But I think that's a cool part of transportation too. Like it's not, there's a healthy mix there.
There's a wonderful story actually. There's only a couple of sleeper trains, and they tend to go from like London to Glasgow or Edinburgh or whatever. And I don't know if you saw this. This chap got on the train at Glasgow, the sleeper, and he doesn't like trying to sleep when the train's moving. So he got on early, got in his bed, fell asleep, and he woke up like 6 or 7 hours later, and the train had never actually left the station because they couldn't staff it. So he just slept on the platform all night. But yeah, he missed his meetings in London and all sorts. He had a nightmare. But yeah, it was a one. On that note, is any kind of travel mishaps sort of happened to you that you could sort of bring to mind?
So this is embarrassing, but I'm happy to share my embarrassing moments. So I was in Honolulu not that long ago, and actually, no, I shared with you before we got on. I have like a learning disability with time. Like I can't remember, like years and so it might have been 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, so there's a flight that United offers, United Flight 154 from Honolulu to Guam. It's the Island Hopper. And I've got a video about the flight, but I've actually taken that trip now 3 times. And the first time I did it, I flew from the East Coast of the US to Hawaii, and I got in, and I just did not want to miss this flight. I was actually writing an article about the flight for Airways magazine. So it was really like it was my first experience of being a freelancer, like writing an article like that. So I really didn't want to miss it. And I was so conked out and whacked out from the time zone change. I went to sleep, and 154, United 154 leaves at like 7 a.m. And so I woke up in my hotel room in Honolulu, and I looked over at the clock, and it was like 5:45. Like, oh my gosh, I've got to get over to the airport. I've got to get, so I threw my clothes back in my suitcase. I was connecting on to Australia. So I had this big suitcase for a long trip, and threw everything in there, and then just got in the cab, is the first cab I saw at the hotel, and made my way back to the airport. And as we're pulling into the departures area for the airport, I realized that it was actually like about 6:15 at night. I was 24 hours off. I was so embarrassed.
Oh no.
Do I tell the driver? And so no, I got out of the car and like let the driver go on, and got into another cab. And to this day on my phone, I've got a 24-hour clock. That was the worst I've ever done.
Yeah, not quite, not too bad. Just taking it right back to when you started, like sort of a 2-part question, really. What was like the inspiration to get going? And nowadays on YouTube, there's so many people trying to sort of do the same thing. What would your advice be to someone who's just starting up now?
Yeah, no, I love the second part of your question, particularly because I really think that more folks on YouTube doing this is a good thing. So, but to answer your first question, number one, I started because I used to watch, this kind of content at home, and I was working in consulting and traveled a lot, and would watch videos about the flights I was taking, right, to get a sense of what was coming.
Yeah.
And what I recognized was there was this missing, component. I love the work that Sam Twee did, or Dennis Bunnick, or Paul Lucas, and nobody had ever made a video about first class on Air France in an A380, and I really wanted to see it, and I knew the content, and I knew it was out there, and nobody had done it. So I said, well, I guess I could try it, because I have this meeting in Porto, and I found a reasonably, it's first class on Air France. It's not cheap, but I found a price that I could justify through my company for this flight, and I booked it, and I decided to make the video, and it's still to this day, one of the first things on my channel, and so I made it, and I put it out there, and it did okay. It did, it sort of grew, and I had a blast with it. And that's kind of how I got started. That was the inspiration. But to the second part of your question about what I would recommend to anybody else, it's the same thing. And Blake is in the chat, and Blake followed my channel back. I'll never forget. He posted a question when I reached 10,000 subscribers. I asked for Q&A video kind of thing, and he asked what advice would you have for somebody who's just starting out, because he was starting to make YouTube videos. And I remember answering the question with some advice, but the number one piece of advice, and it's the same thing I'd give anybody who's starting to make content on YouTube, it's just be yourself, be authentic. Like loads of people copy. All right, so it's clear that Emirates. If you make a video about Emirates business class, it'll get a lot of views, and I can do that. But make it your video about Emirates, or make it your video about whatever it is. And as long as you're authentically who you are as a creator, and put yourself out there, and it takes time for most people to get the confidence to be themselves. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to walk through the airport like talking to your camera or whatever. But once you can get there, like if you're just yourself, that's where the magic happens. That's where the fun is. So my biggest piece of advice, it's the same thing I said, when I was fortunate enough to have 10,000 subscribers, the same bit of advice I'd give when we're fortunate enough to have, 400,000 or whatever it is. Be authentic, be yourself.
Yeah.
It's quite a confidence thing, isn't it? Where I think maybe some of us have tried it in different levels, where you're trying to talk basically to yourself and not really think about what other people are saying. But I think a lot of people tend to crumble because it's like they want to do this, but then they also don't want to come across as some of it. But then at the same time, like you say, with anybody wanting to start out, and it goes for pretty much any sector, as long as you put your own spin on it and you make it as unique as you can. Like there are, there's people that will do plane spotting, and for the most part, plane spotting videos are virtually all the same, unless you come across the likes of Matt Cochran, or who's the other guy, Stephen Markinovich. I think the other guy is Captain Stephen Markinovich, who I found through Matt Cochran, and it's a totally different style. And as long as you put your spin on it, you can make it happen. So yeah, totally agree with. It's almost like you're having to shut out the world around you at the same time and try and make it your own sort of thing, and not really care what other people think.
That's exactly right. Like, just have fun with it, and I think this is the underappreciated aspect of social media. Like, it allows you to connect with people who have the same passion that you do, right? So when I was growing up, I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing, I always liked aviation, but there was nobody around who did. Like, I grew up in Greensboro. I live here now, Greensboro, North Carolina. It's not like we have a burgeoning aviation community. It was a weird thing for somebody to be into. Whereas now, a kid growing up who loves aviation or trains or travel or, I don't know, pocket knives, like whatever it is you're into, you can find a community through social media where that's celebrated, and it's amazing how cool that is.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
absolutely.
I'll just jump into comments here. There's a lot of people sort of throwing some comments in. I don't want to forget them, so we'll say hello to a few people that are there saying hello. So they'll come up on the screen now. So Jim Gemmell says good evening. So evening to you. There are some questions which we will throw out there to you that people have put in the chat. So if you do have any comments for Jeb, do put them in the chat. We'll get them read out as the evening goes on. Jack Rolls, the name I told you about, Jeb, is not mentioning the football score sore subject today, or soccer, as Steve politely put it.
Well, we said it was hot, Tom. Forest was certainly on fire today.
Yes, that's not what he's on about, though. I don't want to get into it too much. It's too much for me. Wayne Hartshawn is there. Good evening to you. Alison is always there as well. Visions International, of course, is there. Tian Hartley is there. The MaxJet TV Live Express, whose name always gets longer every week.
Yeah.
I've got to find a shorter name for that, but it's the only way I can say it. He's there as well. Of course, Ian Hartley. Somil Bandari, Drew Marshall was there as well, and so on and so forth. Also, Wilson Simmons. Hello to you. Right, some quick questions that we've got. I did scroll past a couple of them. I think where we go here. Right, Jack Rolls asks you for the first one. He says, Jeb, did you ever witness the absolute legend of a train, the Flying Scotsman? I saw her from Swanage Railway. She's absolutely stunning locomotive.
I did not. My experience with trains really is limited to North and South America. I mean, so I've got a question for you guys. Actually,
Okay.
this is somewhat unrelated. Are you taught that? How many continents are there?
It's good to put us on the spot.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, I'll
Is it
go.
7 or 6? The reason I ask this is because I get so many comments. This is not about putting you on the spot.
No.
So many comments when I refer to South America, which I consider a continent. That's how I was taught. From it seems to be British people saying that there are 6 continents. That
I'm
North and
saying
South
7.
America are one continent.
No, I say South America, North America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australasia, and then Antarctic.
Yeah, that's mine too. Like,
Yeah.
so in any event, my experience on trains limited to North and South America. So no, Jack, unfortunately, I've not seen the Flying Scotsman. Thanks for the little deviation about the number of continents on that question.
Oh, incidentally, Alison, who's a pilot for Virgin, as it happened, has been to all 7 continents. Is that something you can lay claim to as well?
I'm proud to say I can. I can say I've been to all 7. I'm actually, if everything works out, I'll be back in Antarctica this year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Can I come for me here?
As we discussed, that's why I'm going.
Yeah.
I would love to chase winter. I think that'd be great.
I can spell another group travel group thing coming on.
I'm happy to sit in the back
Nice
scum
trip,
class.
yeah.
It's not a problem.
Scum class. Oh dear. Loopy, thanks for the question, Jack. Loopy says, hi Tom, Steve, and Jeb. Jeb is one of my YouTube go-tos, so I have a question. With all the luxury you can get in the air, which airline represents your home?
Oh, that's people always ask what's my favorite airline, but what airline represents my home? That's a really cool question. Thank you, Loopy. Gosh, so what I would have answered what does this really mean? Pre-COVID would have been Delta without a question. But I think United Airlines is really taking that place for me in a lot of ways. I think I might say United Airlines feels like home.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? If you're like away somewhere like New York or whatever, when you get to the airport in wherever you are, a British Airways is waiting for you or a Virgin plane. The second you set foot on it, it feels like you're back home because everyone's obviously talking with the English accent and that, and there's a little bit of familiarity about it. So, yeah, it's certainly a thing, isn't it? And even more so for you with the amount of traveling you experience.
I completely agree, Steve, and I think that what I love, people ask me often, and this is my point to Loopy, is like, what's my favorite airline? And my answer to that is it's where I'm going. Like if I'm traveling to France, I want to fly Air France. Like I want to feel like I'm there as I'm leaving, right, or whatever. But when I'm coming home, like I know exactly what you're talking about. So if I'm flying out of Heathrow and as soon as I step onto a Delta plane, a United plane, whatever it is, like it feels like I'm already home. I think that's a cool part of aviation. There's a video I'm working on right now. We got to visit the Faroe Islands, and I'm talking about we flew Atlantic Airways, which is the Faroe Islands airline, and I talk about airlines being ambassadors for their countries, and I think that's an underappreciated sort of role that airlines play. Like British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, like these are representations of your country, right? Like these are a part of your country. And Delta, United, American, JetBlue, whatever it is for us, and I think that's a really cool aspect to aviation that doesn't always get appreciated the way that it should.
So you almost have like go-to airlines, really. Then if you're traveling, like say from let's say from America over to like France or something, then you have that go-to sort of airline rather than. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon, something like exploring another airline, but you've always got that. I'm definitely going because I know what it's like to kind of that's where I feel a bit more like at home, sort of thing.
Yeah,
fantastic. I think everyone's just. I think for me, I'd go with anybody. I wouldn't even think about that aspect. So I suppose because you've got the idea of you've got that go to. It's kind of you've got that sort of sense of I know what I'm getting. Wicked.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Loopy. Blake Edgington says, if you had to choose to travel transcon in the US and it is your last trip, do you take the train or fly Polaris Delta One?
My last trip, like this is
ever
where it all ends. I love you, man, but you're. Oh man. Okay. I would say the train because it's slower. It lasts longer. I don't want to go yet. I'm not. I guess. No, I would say like the ultimate U.S. Sort of way to like transit the continent would be the California Zephyr. There's no better perspective on the country. Like it gives you a great view of what it is, the United States is about. So yeah, I would recommend the California Zephyr. That's probably what I would recommend and what I would do.
Brilliant.
How many times have you done like coast to coast as a trip?
On planes or trains? Trains
both, yeah.
Trains just a couple, two or three maybe, but planes, I mean, I like countless, especially when I was really actively working in consulting. I mean, I was twice a month, for years on end. So more times than I can count.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, absolutely.
Right. Alison asks, can I ask where the most special place you've traveled to is, Jeb?
Anywhere I get to travel with my wife.
Oh,
lovely.
No, that's 100% the truth. But the sort of alternative answer to that, Allison, is a couple of places that have been incredibly special. I can't believe I got to go. One being St. Helena, which was an incredible trip. That's a British overseas territory in the South Atlantic Ocean. I can't believe that I got to visit there. A really incredible aviation story. The fact that this airport exists and so forth, really amazing. Antarctica, of course, which I understand we share, Allison, and then there are places like Bolivia or Tasmania that I just fell in love with. I want to go back again, but there's so many special places. That's the thing about travel. Like I think so many of us as aviation enthusiasts love the airplanes, and sometimes we forget what they enable. Right? We're so focused on how cool, an A350 or a 747 or a 777 is. We miss out on the fact that, wow, this like connects the world. Like I always think about this. I walk through this door to an airplane. I sit down in relative comfort, no matter like economy, business class, first class, whatever it is, it's relative comfort. I sit there for a little while. And then time passes. I walk out of the same door and I'm in a completely different world. Like how it's magic. It's magic.
It does feel like it. Yeah, it does feel like it.
On the other side of that, though, is there anywhere you've ever been and you've got there and the expectations hasn't met what you were expecting for it, and it's been a little bit of an anticlimax?
Every time I've been to England.
Yeah,
no, I kid. I love England. I'm going to say no. I mean, there've been places where I went to Madagascar and I got really sick. And so that was tough, like really sick. But No, I mean, I'm pretty easy to please, man. Like I don't have, I'm like, I feel really grateful to be anywhere that I am. So, I'm going to have to say no. There really hadn't been.
That's decent.
It's about as honest as you'll get, I think.
Yeah. I could give you a long list of places to avoid in England if that helps.
Somewhere called Preston, is it? Or something?
Yeah, Preston's not great. I wouldn't go there.
Ian will tell you that. But no, that's fine. Alison's interested in knowing whereabouts on the ice are you going?
It's this is breaking news. I was not supposed to talk about this because we don't.
You don't have to. You don't have to say nothing.
Well, I'm gonna. Maybe I'm gonna consider this good luck. This is the first place in the world this has been shared, and let me tell you, this is breaking news, and literally millions of people do not care. But I hope to get to the South Pole around the new year. That's the goal. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm also kind of nervous because it totally depends on the weather and everything. But hopefully, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll be able to take you to the South Pole with me.
That is going to be so cold. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going to love every second of it.
Yeah.
Ice angels and everything,
Yeah. I want to see a snowman.
I'll
see what I can do.
I wish I had a graphic for that breaking news bit. Now it would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, there you go. You heard it here
line
first.
at the bottom.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you heard it here first. That's where Jeb is going. Wonderful. I think we've already answered that question, so that is fine. Right, question here from Farhan, who says, "Hey Jeb, do you have any India travel plans?"
Farhan, I want to get to India, but for whatever reason, it's just this. I feel like India and Brazil are these two like big holes in my travel experience that I really want to fill in. I don't have any plans now, but I definitely want to get to India. So no plans now, but hopefully soon.
Have you found since all the outbreak of what's going on, getting visas and getting your travel plans, or is there sort of easier way around it?
That's a good question. It's testing seems to be going away. Like touch wood. I've been very lucky. I have not gotten sick. Probably as soon as I say this on the in the internet, it's going to happen. But anyway, it's certainly like added a layer of complexity. Like it used to be, you'd have to like, all right, I want to go to the Philippines. I'd have to research like U.S. citizen, entering the Philippines. Okay, no visa requirements is fine. But now you've got to do that, and like, what are the COVID requirements? So it's added an additional layer of effort. But I respect that, and it's just part of the deal.
Yeah, I went to in the UK. We had 2 proper lockdowns, and I went to Germany between the 2 of them, and I had to fill out mountains and mountains of paperwork. Ridiculous. Got to Germany, couldn't have cared less. Nobody checked it. Absolutely.
That's exactly right. Like, I was struck by how often, like, you put forth all this effort for all these like testing requirements or whatever, and then you do it, you have to do it, and then nobody cares. But my trip to St. Helena, going back to that was the first trip I took. No, that was so it was February 2020. The last trip I took pre-COVID, and there was an extra little piece of paper, a little form I had to fill out, and I didn't even think about it. But then the world changed, so it's definitely different than it was before, no doubt about that.
Yeah, could you still travel intern? Okay, I could fly to Edinburgh or Manchester from London without having to go for anything. Was that the same in America? Could you fly from New York to LA if you wanted to, or was there still protocols?
Yeah. So that was like early on. There was a lot of talk about that, and our Constitution is. I went to law school look how great I am. And so I like there was a lot of talk about that, but the Constitution is really clear about interstate commerce, what we call interstate commerce, which is the ability to move between states. And so there was no way they were going to be able to stop us. Now, take Delta, for example. They did not sell middle seats. So that was kind of a deterrent in a way, in that there were fewer seats for sale and the prices went up. But yeah, you could certainly travel internally. That said, we stopped, and then our first trip was in July 2020. So March to July, we did not travel. And that first trip was our first Amtrak trip. That was the train I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no. So obviously, when you rely on the travel industry for making your living and that, what happened was devastating. How has America sort of recovered from it? Is it pretty much there now?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So much of it, so much of the travel industry the before times, as I like to call them, was focused on business travel. That was really, what ran the industry. And then that's kind of gone away. But now people, as Dennis Bunnock, my good friend Dennis Bunnock, another YouTuber, talks about revenge travel. So people are like going on more leisure travel because they can, to respond to not being able to do it for so long. That's ticked up, and so in the U.S., like TSA is screening more people than they did in the before times. So I think it's back. Now whether that business travel comes back and replaces that, sort of, as kids return to school and there are fewer people who can travel for leisure reasons, we'll see, but time will tell.
Yeah, no, it's sort of like we discussed earlier on, the Laker model, wasn't it? You have to make your money in the summer for vacation or whatever, and then you got to hit that dry spell before you hit the Christmas vacation, and just hope you've got enough business travelers to sort of see you through that little time there. But how many, in Britain, we had a few. Did any of the airlines go to the wall in America?
Did we lose? I don't think we lost any.
I'm not sure they did.
Yeah, the government really provided a lot of cash to help sustain them. I don't think we lost anybody.
Yeah, we lost a company called Flybe, but they've been reborn afterwards. So they were kind of temporarily away with new directors and the like.
Yeah, I love the Flybe poster behind you there, Tom.
Funnily enough,
what's the deal?
Not the only person to have said that. It's not a poster. It was hand. I'll just let me see if I can do this. It was digitally drawn by a good friend of the show, Marco Barrett.
Wow, that's cool.
So he drew that for me, and then I just put it onto on a canvas. So yeah, he no tracing, no nothing, hand drew it. And he drew me that of the exact Embraer 195 that I went on from Newquay down here in Cornwall to London Gatwick and back.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna show you my version, because I'm also a bit of an artist. How was that?
You know what we can do? If you sign it, we'll just do that as a giveaway.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what that reminds me of, actually, Steve? Do you remember the time that you had the blue tack?
Oh, yeah.
And you were creating I don't know what we were doing. You just, here's a plane. It looked exactly like Jeb's drawing.
There was a young chap on how he does these Airfix models, and he showed all these models that he built out of plastic and that, and they were superb. And I happened to have a bit of blue tack, so I sent a photo to Tom of this really crap little blue tack model I made, and Tom was.
I'm going to see if I've still got it. I'm fairly convinced I've still got it.
It was with Julia's boyfriend. I forget his name now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're on about. I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I'll bring it up here so we can do a bit of a comparison. Hang on.
Yeah, so
Um, yeah, I know we're slightly off topic, but that's what that picture just reminded me of.
I mean, this is art. This is. I mean, that's. I
All right,
think.
I'm going to bring it up, and I'm just going to arrange the cameras so we can compare the two.
yeah, it's beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Oh,
Move over the other side of the picture. Can you? That's it.
that's better. I'll tell you, that's better, and it's 3-dimensional. I mean, that in of itself is, that wins.
It's got wing tanks and everything, Steve.
What can you say?
It's
There's
vaguely
a new
offensive. I'm
talent.
not sure how, but
No, I remember that like it was yesterday. That was so funny.
Yeah, that was when we were still doing Discord.
Yes, it. You sure?
Oh, yeah, no, maybe no. Of course it isn't because it's a
No,
picture
that one
on the
wasn't.
screen.
Yeah, no, that one
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah,
Must
Scott
have been right at the
Maynard.
start.
Yeah, Scott
That
Maynard,
was a
who
scary
does
time.
he goes and captures pictures for aircraft to go into War Thunder. So he goes around, takes pictures of like World War II planes in museums, and then takes them, and then the developing team use his pictures to develop these models for the planes to go into War Thunder.
Yeah, no, this computer game. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does all that. It's pretty.
Yeah, nice drawing that though.
Yeah, is that going to go on your fridge?
yeah, I think maybe maybe I'll fold it up and make it into a card for Suzanne. Thanks for marrying
That's the next
me.
anniversary present. Yeah. Happy
The gift
first
that keeps on
anniversary.
giving.
Yeah.
They say it's paper. Isn't the first anniversary of paper? So that could work.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The gift
get
that
on it.
keeps on giving. Very nice. Question from Ian before he disappears. He says, do you think with all the really nice places that you visited, do you find it harder and harder to find a trip that you'll enjoy and your viewers will enjoy?
No way, Ian. No. I mean, and I'll tell you why. I mean, like, it doesn't matter where you go, and this is one of the things that that I learned in 2020. Your own backyard has so many things. Like it's about perspective. So the world is an incredible place, and even right at home, you can find plenty of stuff to engage with. Now, the second question about the viewers, that's a little bit more complicated, right? You never know. YouTube is a challenging environment because on the one hand, you want to create content that that you can get excited about, that I can get excited. Let me rephrase. I want to create content that I can get excited about. However, I also have to consider, what YouTube rewards. So that's a challenging thing. And every week it's, I don't know. So this, I publish on Saturday mornings and in the US, 11 a.m. Eastern. And yesterday I published a video about the Milwaukee airport, which is kind of a random airport, but I love airports. I think that they're amazing places that create so many interesting jobs and make what we love as aviation enthusiasts possible. You don't have an airplane without an airport, right? And that video is done, pretty well, in comparison to other videos I've published, which was sort of a surprise. So, do I think it's going to be harder to find a trip that I enjoy? Absolutely not. I'm going to enjoy wherever we go. Will it be harder to find trips that are, fulfilling to viewers? Time will tell. I certainly hope not.
Is there like an inspiration, like a thought process, or is it just like, I haven't been to going on Kenya Airways? Is that sort of the thought process, or is there a bit more methodical than that?
No, I mean, that's it. Like it's like, so all right. I'll give you an example. It's like real time right now. So Suzanne is going over Labor Day, which is a holiday here in the U.S. in a couple of weeks, like, it's sort of the end of summer holiday with her friends up to Canada. And so that means I've got like about a 4-day window of time. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I could stay here at home and not do anything, or I could fill it and try to get a couple, 3 weeks worth of content. So what do I do with that? And I think, it's about how do I go, like where I've got these 4 days, these 5 days, whatever they are, where can I go that would be of interest to me? Because if I'm not excited about a video, like if I'm doing it because I feel like I have to make a video, it's not going to be a good one, right? I have to be enthusiastic about it, right? Where can I go that would also be of interest to the audience? And like that's like an active process right now. I don't know. I don't know. It could be Atlantic City, New Jersey. It could be Seoul, South Korea. I have no idea. So it's really organic, and like there's no clear answer. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, at the end of each of your videos, we get to see the Jeb score, of course. And for those who don't know, it is rated on the lounge, the seat, food, in-flight entertainment, and service. So I won't put you on the spot just now. We'll carry on asking you other questions if you like. But if you can think of the best and worst of those, and we'll return to you on that shortly.
No, I can tell you. I don't have to stall.
Straight away, there you
go.
No messing. Go on.
So there. I think. I mean, maybe somebody can fact check me. It's available at greenergrass.com/JebScore. I think the winners are 2 airlines, 3 maybe. So Emirates first class, Korean first class on the 747, which is a video that nobody watched. Like I shouldn't say nobody. It did not perform as well as it should have, because like it's such a cool product. It's a 747. It's a long haul. This is back to the whole thing about YouTube. You never know. That just more people should see how great that is. And then Emirates, Korean, Air France. Now the worst performer, like by a long shot, was an Airbus A310 I took from Boston to Ponta Delgada, Air Azores. It was really bad.
Oh dear. Yeah. Was it a trip where you landed and just kind of blew your cheeks out and thought, I'm never gonna do that again?
I was like, how can I swim back from here? Like, I don't want to get on another airplane.
Yeah. Alison suggests you should on Virgin Atlantic to Boston Heathrow.
Yeah, no, that looks really cool, and there's so much
Neo.
enthusiasm about that. Yeah, hopefully I can get on there. I've got some Virgin. I've got some plans on Virgin soon, but I'm not sure about Boston. But the new upper class, I think, is going to be great.
It looks amazing from the photos that we've seen and stuff. I remember I saw it on Twitter when it came up, and I was just completely astounded by just how great it looks. Like it looks like a proper bit of kit. Like, to do a long haul travel, you think, I want to sit in that. I'd happily go across the pond sitting in one of those seats. Do you kind of feel that that's kind of important for airlines, where they give out such a good sort of impression with their product to kind of then go, bums on seats sort of thing?
Absolutely. And I think I had the opportunity, 3 or 4 years ago, to sit down with Ed Bastian, who's the CEO of Delta Airlines. And I was talking to him. This is not a direct answer to your question, but I'll get there.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was talking to him about this YouTube thing, and like how there are people like me who make videos about these things. And he it took a little bit of time for it to process for him. I mean, he's a pretty, he's CEO of a multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500 company. Who is this weird guy talking at me about YouTube? Like, this doesn't make sense. But it registered, and he said, like, this sounds great. It's free marketing. And I think that's what's really cool about what we do. And so when airlines like Virgin create sort of new products, new seats, new experiences, it's an opportunity to really, back to the earlier comment about airlines being ambassadors for their countries. Like, that's what it really is to me. And I think, Virgin is doing a really nice job of that. I mean, nobody knows marketing better than they do, right?
I think a lot of us in this country, at least, I think we even spoke about it. We maybe even touched upon it last week, where we sort of feel that, when you think of Britain, you think British Airways, but I think now that tide is swinging towards think of Britain, you think of Virgin, and that's a testament to the work that they've done, and the fact that they're going in the right direction as well, especially with becoming more economical and having the youngest, or will have the youngest fleet out there once more of these 330 Neos come in and things like that. So I think the time of British Airways being the only sort of British airline that comes to mind is kind of well in the past now, and I think Virgin is doing really well to kind of overtake British Airways right now, especially on reputation and things like that.
Well, I have never flown British Airways long haul, so and I committed to. I said to myself, like, we're not gonna reveal too many of our future plans on this conversation with you guys, because we like to keep people guessing. But I'm in the mood to share more. So in the next week or two, again, my inability to keep track of time, the next week or two, whatever. I'm flying to London with Virgin and then back with British Airways to sort of compare the two, because I think that's going to be an interesting dichotomy. Like, to your point, Britain was British Airways, but now it's not. Like, which should you fly? Which is the better experience? And I can't wait to find out, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
The other Noel Phillips on, and he flew the new JetBlue, the free. Is that? I don't know if you've done that yet, but what's it like to do transatlantic on a narrow body?
Yeah, so I've not done it. I did the Mint like right when they released it to like JFK to SFO or something. And it's a beautiful product. So well designed, so comfortable, great. In terms of my narrow body transatlantic flights, I've done, a handful of 757s, and I did BA1 on the A318.
Oh yeah.
To London City to Shannon to JFK Suzanne, and I did that, and that was really cool. Here's the thing that people don't always talk about with narrow bodies across the Atlantic. It's the turbulence.
Yeah.
So with a wide body, you don't feel it as much, but on these little tiny planes, the smaller planes, you notice it more, which to me is a benefit.
Mm.
I like the turbulence. Like, it's a reminder that I'm in the air. So, but if you're not a person who's a big fan of bumping around a little bit, maybe you want to look for a wide body.
No, fair enough. I'm just going to, excuse me, jump in and say, Transatlantic Alison is leaving us. She says, going to have to go. She's also put the reason why. Chef is calling for dinner. I'll catch up later. Ta-ta for now. Thank you.
Very quickly, thank you very, very much for your support individually as well. It's been amazing, and I've appreciated it, and sort of the interactions and that, and it was a particular privilege to interview. So thank you ever so much.
Wicked. Yeah, very, very, very privileged to have her still watching as well, knowing how busy she is as well. So, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Right, a couple. We'll throw a few to go again and put a few questions to you. They're all coming from the chat, so we'll go through it. Loopy again is asking, Jeb, how many hours a week do you spend editing your videos?
Not enough. No, it works out to be about. I'm quite jealous of the live stream that you all have, because you really save yourself some time. It works out to be about an hour per finished minute. So if you see a 14-minute video, that's 14 hours of time editing the video. So that's why like train videos tend to take longer, because they are longer. They're more. There's more story there. So it's about an hour per finished minute.
You go on a trip, say you're doing an 8-hour flight, for example. How much raw footage are you filming before you turn out like a half-hour YouTube, whatever?
Yeah, that's a great. So like, if I get off a flight and I have like 45 minutes to an hour of content, I know that I've got a solid, like that's enough to make a good solid story of call it 10 to 14 minutes. So a lot of stuff ends up on the sort of cutting room floor, but it's that's about it. But then a train video like California Zephyr, I had 5 hours of content. It can be hours of raw footage.
Yeah, and then you've obviously just got to sort of siphon through it and see. But yeah, no, it was quite interesting to see just how much goes into it. Because obviously, when I get the certification that you don't really sort of think too much on a new video. I'll watch it, and you don't appreciate quite how much time and effort has gone into it.
Yeah, it is funny, and even when I'm watching I think when people think of a YouTuber, like we're one dimensional. Like all I am is I make videos about travel. Like that's what I am. But I also have other interests. I like there's more to me than just that. And so I watch content, and I view it the same way you're talking about, right? So I see somebody who's making a video about history or something that I want to watch, and I don't even think about like the research they've had to do or to find the B-roll or make the cuts or whatever. I'm just watching it, but I think that's what makes a video really good.
Yeah.
Like if you're just able to watch it and like say, okay, that was a really cool experience. You don't think about when YouTube content is more about like what you're creating than it is about the experience you're sharing. Like I feel like that's where it's tough. So I do have one. Let me switch gears real quick, and I want to say real quick, 7 of you who are watching this right now, 7 of you. All I'm going to ask is click the subscribe button right now. We are 7 subs away from 1,250 subscribers. Come on, let's get there right now. Also, don't forget to smash that like button.
Oh, can we have you advertising every week?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've seen this comment come up a couple of times now in the chat, so I think it's only fair to ask you. People are loving the Washington to New York bus trip. What was your experience of that?
So I want to answer your question directly, but I'm going to get there. As you've seen, I like to round in my way, to an answer. It's a very American thing to do. So Suzanne was scrolling through Instagram and she came across an ad for this thing called the Jet bus. And she was like, "Oh, hey Jeb, come here. You have to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, that works. That makes sense to me." And so we had this trip where I went down to Florida and did the Brightline train up from Miami to West Palm Beach, and then I flew up to flew up to DC, did the bus, and then came back. And it was kind of this throwaway trip, I don't want to say throwaway trip. It was like we needed to fill a couple of weeks worth of content, and this seemed like a reasonable way to do it. This was going to be sort of standard content. Well, published the Brightline train. It was a good video, did well, super proud of it. And then put together the Jet bus. Good night, Michael Painter. Sleep well. Thank you so much for watching.
Michael Painter is leaving us as well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, cheerio, mate. Take care.
One of the recent regulars. Yes, thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Do carry on.
So I put this video out about the bus, and it just blew up. A solid video on our channel will get 100,000 views in a week. Like that's a real win for us. And this thing was like 1 million views in 2 days or something crazy. It was like we couldn't even keep up with it. And what happened? And so for whatever reason, it took off. And it was a really cool video that opened up this whole new mode of transport to me in terms of what we could make videos about that did really well. And what's been really cool is Chad Scarborough is the CEO of the bus company. He bid us farewell on our departure there because it was a startup company, and so he was coming out to thank us for being there. Put him in the video. He and I have actually become friends. Turns out we went to the same college. Like we've got a lot in. It was pure chance, and so we've hung out, a time or two since then. But that bus was really a cool experience. Yeah, I didn't know how much I could enjoy bus travel as I did.
Yeah, New York's been my only experience of America, and whilst it was amazing and I loved it, every time I got back in the hotel, sat in Central Park, it was like, oh my god, it's just everything's so frenetic, like crazy. Even compared to London, New York's just bonkers. I couldn't quite cope with it.
Next level. New York there's nothing like New York.
No, I made the mistake of being on the streets at about 5:30 when everyone was leaving the office. And it didn't matter if you were in the way of where they were going, they were getting there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you got run over.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was quality city. It was really good. But just on that, like, obviously, you've seen a lot of America. Apart from your hometown, where's a city you arrive to and you just go, oh, this is fantastic. I love it here.
Washington D.C. I love our nation's capital. Like I would that feels like home. It's got all of the benefits of a big city, but it's also so international and cosmopolitan. Like you can eat any kind of food you want. It's very welcoming. It's very inviting. It's DC is it's my favorite. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No.
Let's go back to some more questions in the comments. Just a quick one that's come in here from, take a deep breath, MacShed TV Live Express, whose name always gets longer every week. He says, have you got any thoughts of doing a podcast for yourself, and have you been on any other podcast channels?
So I am a purist. The only podcast for me is the Departure Lounge.
Yes, good answer. I like it.
Yeah.
I hopped onto the Airline Videos live stream yesterday and was commenting and those guys invited me to come out to LA sometime and join them. I think that'd be a lot of fun. They're plane spotters at LAX. I think that'd be kind of a cool experience. But in terms of a podcast for myself, like one YouTube channel, there's so many people who have like multiple channels. I don't know how you do that, man. Like publishing one video a week is a lot, and I love the process of it, and I love everything about it. But I don't think I could do much more than that. So adding a podcast to the mix. Happy to join you guys every now and then, but that's about all I can handle.
I love how you give us
exclusivity. Good night, everyone.
I'm a fan. What can I say? I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'll take that. We'll clip that and we'll play that at the end of the year. End of the year special. Yeah.
So, what's our subscriber count right now? What's our subscriber count? Where are we?
We are currently 5 away.
We need 5 more. Come on, five of you, please.
Yes,
please.
Even a please.
Yeah.
No, yeah, not. Yeah, I mean, it's quite nice when you got somebody that says they're a fan.
Yeah,
quite nice. Talking of fans, I think that the question that Steve asked about the Washington New York thing, just a little bit of love shown here from David Bone, who says he's a long-time subscriber, love the channel, Jeb. I'm a through and through ad geek at heart, but love the video on the bus from Washington to New York.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like I'm thoroughly an aviation enthusiast. Like that's my thing. But it's been really cool to that YouTube has facilitated my opportunities to experience other modes of transport. It's been really cool.
Wonderful. It's also nice to have sort of like long-term subscribers, especially to your channel. Sort of follow you sort of wherever you go in terms of like either doing this or literally just like say following your journey pretty much across the world. Is he frozen?
No.
Oh, I thought you froze then.
Hold on.
I was going to say I was checking it. I was like, I don't think he has. Yeah. So
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's great to be loved.
Yes. Oh dear. Jack wouldn't know what that's like.
No, poor old Jack.
Poor old Jack. There's another question here from Bradley Penny Aviation. I'm going to go and see if I can find it again. But I know what the question is, but there you go. He asks, what is on your aviation bucket list?
Gosh, man. I mean, whatever's new, like whatever is coming along. Longest flights, new, products in the air, really, like whatever's next. I mean, that's what it is for me in terms of aviation. The biggest one for me, there are two things. Okay. Number one, I really want to figure out how to make the fastest trip around the world I can.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
And then number two, I want to make a trip around the world in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, nice.
Which is harder than you think and involves a lot of Qantas.
You'll have to excuse me if I've missed it, but have you done the New York Singapore flight yet? I believe.
Yeah, so I was. Yeah, that's a great question and timely. So I did the inaugural Newark to Singapore flight. So that was 2017 or 18, something like that. And when they re-inaugurated that with the A350, now it's out of JFK. So hopefully I can book that sometime soon to do it, because that's a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a nice question from Ian actually, and it's one that probably sits fairly close to your heart, because it's going to be a United venture, and that is the new ever flies. Will you try and get a ticket for its inaugural flight?
Steve, that's even closer to my heart than you realize, because if that does happen, that's the Boom Overture. It will be manufactured right here in Greensboro, North Carolina. They're going to build their manufacturing facility right here at our home airport, and Ian, count me on, as I would be on the very first flight, if at all possible, if that happens.
Yeah,
Whether it happens or not, no.
Yeah, I'm fairly skeptical at the moment. What about yourself? Like, where do you sit? Do you think it's a possibility?
When they announced that Greensboro was going to be where they manufactured the plane, I made a little video about it, and what I said in that video was that everything in aviation has sounded unbelievable at the beginning. So that's kind of my thought on about it. That said, a lot of things that have been stated in aviation have never happened. So we'll see.
I want to sort of just quickly brush upon this. In terms of now, we saw sort of the initial release. It very much looked like Concorde. It got the same shape, very much like Concorde. Then they fully released it, and now it looks a bit. I got sort of slated for it when I put it on Twitter, but it kind of looks like the failed attempt that Boeing did, the 2707 supersonic plane. Are you a fan of the change? Do you think it looks a bit nicer, or literally, at least for me, when I saw the change, that was the first thing that came to my head, was this the failed attempt that Boeing did back in the in the supersonic age, or the race for it. And the first thing that came to my head was, oh no, we're going to go down that route again, where we're having an American attempt, but is it going to go ahead? And do you think that the shape of it and the sort of relevance towards that and the 2707 should just be, let's just wait and see what happens? Or do you think it's a bit like, let's hope it doesn't go the same way, sort of thing?
I feel like if manufacturers really knew what was good for them, they would focus on aviation enthusiasts and what we think looks good versus, things like, I don't know, aerodynamics and fuel savings, and like, let's make these things about what we like to look at. So no, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think the fact that there's not an engine is the bigger issue for this plane.
Hmm.
My friend John Ostrower talks a lot about this over at the Air Current. Like they don't have an engine to drive supersonic flight yet. That seems a little bit precarious to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope it happens, because I think, I love this industry and I love what aviation can do. And if it's true that they're able to, get us anywhere in the world in 3 hours or less for $100, like that's a great promise. And like, who wouldn't be excited about that?
Yeah.
But
That was
whether
the
it
problem
happens,
the problem with Concorde. It was so exclusive, wasn't it? You needed a king's ransom to be able to get on it.
it was like what, like $10,000 for a ticket or something. I mean, you can't like
Super exclusive, wasn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, I was fully in the camp of when the first initial shape came out and you saw it was Concorde, I'd be like, okay, cool, because it's proven to work. That's what we had before. So why not bring out a version of it that's a bit more economical? Then they changed the shape of it, and now I'm like, we've seen shape designs change from time to time with other airplanes that actually haven't then entered service. So, and because, like you say, they don't really have a driving force yet, but they're committing so much to it. Do you think they're panicking a little bit in terms of we kind of need to find an engine quick?
I mean, I don't know how much science there is behind the conceptual renders they're publishing. Like I don't know if that's what it's really going to look like. I don't know how much, and I'm talking out of my ears because I don't know what it takes to design an airplane. Like I just don't know. But I don't know. Like what is it ultimately going to look like? Think about any render of an airplane like early on in the process.
I mean, I want to be optimistic, but I just don't know. I right now I can't be a bit optimistic about it.
I think Blake nailed it. Like if there was demand and a real opportunity here, then somebody else, namely Boeing or Airbus, would have revisited it. I mean, when was the last and I go back to Concorde. Concorde was, I mean, you're talking about the UK government, the French government, like these are governments.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should, as a Greensboroian, I really hope that we get to build the next supersonic plane right here in Greensboro.
I think Jim Gamble makes a very fine point. Back in the Concorde's day, meetings had to be done in person. There was no real reliable way. But ever since the dawn of what we've been through, everything now is an email or a conference call. There's not really a need for someone in New York to have to fly to London and be back the same day, because it can all be done on a Zoom call or something set up. There's no actual need for to and from these days, is there, in a business sense? Not in that.
It's certainly different.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'd love it to happen.
I noticed a comment earlier from Farhan about United and whether they were going to take their A350s, and I think that's a good question. So United has this like outstanding A350 order from, years ago, and this is a little insight into my personal life. Suzanne and I talk about that order a lot because I love the A350 and she loves United, and she's convinced they're going to take it, but I'm pretty sure they're not. I think they've committed to the 787. So I think this is like what's really fun about all of this sort of aviation speculation is just how dynamic it is. Like it's just a really fun part of travel.
I'll just I'll bring up on the screen. I'll just bring up on the screen for those that might not know about the new shape. There it is. Completely different to what we saw initially, where it was very much like Concorde. Whereas literally the first thing that comes to my mind as soon as I saw this was that Boeing 2707. So are they sort of maybe revisiting old American technology that they tried to, the American government tried to pump a load of money into to enter the supersonic race back in the sort of 60s and 70s, and sort of try and make it work this time, because to me that's kind of looks like what they're doing.
Yeah, it certainly has that look.
Yeah. I was just going to say, on United going for the A350, is that not almost blasphemous in America that they're not going to go with Boeing? Like, is there not going to be a degree of consumer disappointment behind that?
Well, I mean, I'm an A350 fan. I'm an Airbus fan, so I'm.
It's two ends of the spectrum, really, if you think about it, because you've got United that have committed really hard on the 787s, whereas Delta have gone the complete opposite, and Delta have committed very much to the 350s, and they seem to work out quite well on the routes that they do. So to me, it's kind of like that's like set in stone. I would love to see a 350 in United colours, but I don't think it will happen.
No, it's a shame.
Yeah, I don't. I think the 787 serves them well, and I think Farhan pointed out UA is the only airline to have all three variants of the 787. I didn't realize that, but that certainly does make sense. But in terms of the passenger experience, having flown a lot of hours on both airplanes, the A350 is it's my preferred twin-engined long haul flyer.
Yeah, it does. From the videos I've seen of it, it does look a comfortable experience all the way from the front of the cabin to the back of the cabin. It doesn't matter where you're sat. I think it's a good product, isn't it? And it's clean, it's efficient. They've got, is it the air and the lighting and that? It sort of helps out on jet lag and that. So it's well ahead of its time compared to its competitors. That's for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I personally don't see it making sense that United would just take 350s. I suppose the only reason that Delta probably took them was because they inherited the Northwest 330s. So it's an easy transition from 330s to 350s, whereas a lot more time would have to be taken to transfer people from 767s or 757s or even the Dreamliners to a 350. So a lot more work has to go into it. So why not just stick with what you know, sort of thing? And maybe if Delta hadn't taken over Northwest and Northwest was still in the skies, maybe Delta would have gone Dreamliner instead of 350.
Yeah, I love playing that game of like, what if, so and so had merged with so and so instead of such and such, and like just imagining that. I have a good friend of mine who's a retired United Airlines pilot, flew 757s, and quite a fan of United. He started with People Express, which merged into Continental, which merged into United, and I said to him the other day, if all of that had been different, and Delta ended up taking up your airline, you would be a huge Delta fan. He was like, that's funny. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I think it's just a matter of like what the regulatory bodies approved that lead us to have what we have today, which is.
Well, even recently, was it Spirit and Frontier? I may have got that wrong, but that happened, didn't it, in the last week or so?
Spirit and JetBlue, yeah.
Yeah,
Spirit
sorry,
and JetBlue now, yeah. Is it Frontier that pulled out or something, and JetBlue took over?
Yeah, so both Frontier and JetBlue wanted Spirit. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Good night, Blake Edgington. Let's talk soon. It's been too long.
Thank you for joining us, Blake. Thank you very much.
So Frontier and JetBlue were looking at buying Spirit, and it looks like JetBlue wins out.
Oh, well. They're becoming a big player. And again, going back to what's been going on, it's actually got their noses into Gatwick and into Heathrow because they've managed to get the slot. So it's worked out nicely for them, and they're not stupidly expensive, are they? And I'm trying to think who's the other. Yeah, there's another carrier. I forget their name now. We've just started out at Gatwick, and they're flying to New York for ridiculous money, like £250. Tom might be able to tell you.
Norse, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, like ridiculously cheap money.
But we established that, or at least the trend is, especially with like the likes of Norwegian and that, is those that start long haul from Gatwick for on a low cost carrier type of business plan don't last very long.
No.
So fingers crossed Norse can get this right this time and not go the same way as Norwegian did and have to park their Dreamliners up and have them pretty much rotting out in Scotland and wherever else they seem to
Yeah.
have parked. So, but yeah, no, it's quite interesting. Talking of Norse, obviously Norse are a Norwegian airline. You've sort of been to Norway, and had a what looked like an incredible experience. What was it like? Sort of, because Norway is on my list of places to go to. Would you recommend it to me if I said to you, what's Norway like?
Yeah, no, I would. I would say, yeah, Norway was totally fun, and we decided to do it. There's kind of like a sort of I don't want to call it standard Norwegian experience, but there's sort of a typical Norwegian, travel like thing you do through certain places. We wanted to do it differently with the public transportation, which was a lot of fun, and we get to see some different places. I would highly recommend Norway. I would highly recommend Norway to anybody. It was just so beautiful. Everyone was so kind and nice and welcoming. I could not say enough good things about Norway. That said, the hardest part of Norway for me were the seagulls. Because everywhere we stayed, the sun doesn't set in the summer, right? So the seagulls are up all the time, and they're just constantly like,
Yeah,
and like I could not sleep to save my life in Norway.
just don't go during the summer.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
But then from there, we went up to the Faroe Islands, which are kind of between Norway and Iceland, and that was spectacular.
Yeah, I bet. Just quick goodbye to Clive. Thank you for joining us as well this evening on that one. Yeah, I mean, Norway's always been on my list purely for the like the Northern Lights and stuff. Did you get an opportunity to see them? I've not watched the video yet because I've been busy myself. But did you get an opportunity to see them, or is it something you sort of missed out on?
No, we did not get to see the Northern Lights this trip, but I think we've got some solid plans. We're starting to put together for the winter that will get us the Northern Lights. We hope that's one of many things in the world we have yet to see. So hopefully soon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Right. Let me just scroll through and see if there's any more questions in here that we may have missed. I think there was one that I do want to get answered, and it was quite a way back. So you just bear with me.
Bearing with you.
Yeah.
I bet it's gone. Oh no, there we go. There we go.
Hold
Got it.
music.
I've got it. Craig Morris says, "Hey Jeb, thinking of doing a trip next year from the UK and wanting to take the Amtrak Maple Leaf train from New York to Toronto. Do you have any advice for a first-time solo traveler visiting the US?"
Yeah, that's a great question. And let me just say thank you so very much, Jack. We appreciate your super chat. That's awesome. That means the world to the Departure Lounge podcast. We are so grateful to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jack.
In terms of advice for a first-time traveler, it's tough for me to say. I think that the advice I'd give to any first-time traveler to any place, not just the U.S., is to do your research and understand what you want to do, and then know that no matter how much research you do, you're going to have to be flexible, right? Things don't always work out the way that you plan them to. I'll say this about the Amtrak Maple Leaf. I've never done it. I desperately want to do it. I was in New York Moynihan Station just a few weeks ago, and I saw the signs for the train. Looks really cool, so it's on the list. But man, it depends. Craig, that's a big question. If I had all the time in the world and I were making my first visit to the U.S., I would absolutely book the California Zephyr train. I think that there is no better way to just get a sense of the scale of the country and just the transition of what it is this country's about. But I get it. Like if you're thinking of Maple Leaf, then you probably don't have too much time. You're just going New York to Toronto. That's a cool trip. So,
Very nice. I'm going to read out Jack's comment that he put with his super chat, which is just about as random as ever. He just put, "I once threw a soccer ball at a seagull. It flew."
That's a poem, actually.
Yeah. It's brought a tear to
Ball
my
at a
eye.
seagull, it flew. Yeah. Well, they call them, what's the 3-line ones? Is it called like a haiku or something?
Yeah, that's a haiku right there.
Yeah. That's taking me back to my school days. Yes.
He needs to publish his works.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't recommend throwing soccer balls at seagulls. You're not allowed to kill them in this country because the Queen will do you for it. They are highly protected in this country, I think.
Yeah,
they should be.
I'm sure they are.
I was in Wales and I was with some friends, and I don't remember this. Like we were eating fish and chips, and the seagulls were trying to eat the chips, but apparently, if they do, their stomachs explode or something. I feel like maybe my friend was taking the piss out of me.
Tomato. It's the potassium in tomato that makes them explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did not feed any seagulls any of that.
Yeah. Sorry, tomato.
Tomato. Thank you. To be fair, my mother, who's from Virginia, says tomato, so I'm familiar with the term.
Okay, that's fine. As long as you know what I meant. Yeah, no, apparently it's the potassium, so there's a lesson.
No, there you go. That's how we end it, with seagull stomachs exploding.
Yeah.
But excuse me. Let me just go through. Right, just one last question before we end this, and it's going to come from Farhan, who says, "Jeb, I think I remember you said you'd possibly do more coach reviews. Do you plan on this still? I think there was too much focus on prem travel on YouTube."
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is about when I have published, a small number of economy videos. I certainly fly economy. I don't always record the experience, and the reason for that is because they just don't get the kind of views that you need to justify the work. As I said, it's like an hour per finished minute. So if I'm publishing something on YouTube, I want to have a pretty good idea that it's going to do well in order to put forth the effort to make the product. I mean, the video, So when we make an economy video, we want it to be an interesting and fun experience that would be a reason to watch it, as opposed to a review. Because the fact of the matter is, for a lot of reasons, economy class is just not that differentiated from airline to airline. So there's not a real reason to make the video. So great question. When we create content related to economy, we want it to be interesting, I guess is what I would say to you, Farhan. So there'll be more, but kind of a different take on it.
Wonderful. And one last comment, excuse me, from Matt, who says, "Thanks for an amazing stream. I'm sorry to say this is my first stream I've watched, but happy to say I've subbed and look forward to more in the future." So thank you very much indeed for watching us for the first time. Why it's taken you so long, I'll never know. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you for the sub as well. So, one just come in here. David Bone says, "Love this week's podcast despite joining late. Massive thanks to Jeb, not only for doing this, but also for the hours of quality entertainment." It's that love feeling again, Jeb.
Thank you. I cannot believe that I get to do this and that folks come along for the ride. This is gratitude is not a big enough word for how I feel about this opportunity. I'm so thankful. So thankful.
Good stuff. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. That's all we can say. It's great stuff to watch. Righty. Pretty much just echoing what Ian said. Just keep doing what you do, Jeb. If anything, make the videos longer.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm trying to. That I've got the same. I want to do that too, but I always want to keep things interesting. So we don't want to keep you boring. Hey, Farhan, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Farhan with a nice super chat there says, great podcast, learned a lot. Really appreciate this. But we really appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So, just a lot of love coming in for you right now, especially from Jack Rolls. She says, Jeb, I want to say it was a true honor to be a part, let alone moderate this amazing podcast. And, well, he didn't meet you, but,
Well,
calm down, Jack, honestly.
Nice to meet you, Jack. And thank you for moderating. I know how hard that is.
Clip that and frame it. That's what it'll do.
Yeah,
let me make it better for you. Hold on.
Yeah.
There it is. Look, we got a U.S. flag in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, nice to meet you, Jack. But no, so yeah, some really nice comments coming in there. But yes, so we will stop it there for now. As much as we could literally go on all evening. Jed don't have the time. I got work tomorrow, and it's getting nice and cool. So I'd like to be able to kind of enjoy the cool weather while it's getting cooler. But before we do, it's that part of the show where we do some shout outs. We say thank you, and we shout out loved ones, friends, family, each other, whoever, etc., etc. So if anybody in the chat has any shout outs for anyone, like I said, friends, family, etc., get them into the comments and we will show them as we do ours. So, Jeb, if you would like to give some shout outs, no matter how long your list is or how short your list is, if you'd like to give some, go ahead.
I want to thank everybody who watches even one of the videos we put out. We wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for everybody who watches. So thank you to every one of those. Thank you so much, of course, to Suzanne, who really facilitates the whole thing. I would not be doing what I'm doing without her. So absolutely thankful to her.
Fantastic. Excuse me. Keep it short and sweet. Lovely. All right, Steve, for the final time.
Yeah, indeed.
If you'd like to give some shout outs.
Well, first and foremost, Jeb, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the time and effort you put in your videos. It does get appreciated by certainly me and certainly everyone in the chat here. So that's good. Time here. My first interview was Johnny Smith, and obviously tonight is my final one. So everyone who I've interviewed and the special shows and that, it's been a privilege. Tom, you could have easily sacked me twice. Once when I showed up with a Cornish one pissed out my face, and secondly when I missed my flight from Edinburgh because I was also drunk. So,
a little bit merry.
Yeah, indeed.
A little bit merry.
But yeah, to Tom, obviously, for giving me the opportunity to come on this. Last year was the potential to be rough, and being on here stopped that happening. So, despite me not being on here, so people at home know there's no trouble. We'll remain friends. We'll still play Xbox. I'll still support the show and put some insightful, wonderful comments in the chat.
Yes.
Ian and Tian, we've laughed together. We've cried together. We've supported each other when we've needed it, and that certainly doesn't go unnoticed. And I do truly thank you. And like people watching this, they won't know this, but whilst we sit on here every week and chat, I've met Tom once in my life. We had a little round of golf and a drink, and I've never met Ian or Tian, but I hold them both as very, very dear friends. So yeah, and everyone who watches and supports and that, it's a real privilege. And again, there's people here I've never met, but I do hold you as close friends and that. So, but I would say to you, just keep supporting the show. I hope whoever takes over from me, you give them the same support and encouragement, because they thoroughly deserve it. And Tom's got a wonderful product here, and it deserves to go from strength to strength. So yeah, it's with sadness I'm signing off, I'm afraid.
Nice one, Steve. Try not to get emotional about that one. But no, basically, big shout out to Well, firstly, Jeb, for rejoining us for a second time. As always, it was a lot of fun the first time. It's been a lot of fun the second time, and then it will probably be a lot more fun as you appear more and more in the future when you're not busy, of course. But no, thank you for dedicating this evening to us. A lot of people in the chat have learned a lot about your travels and how you go about your business. And I thought I learned a lot last time, and now I'm learning a little bit more. So to me, every day is a school day. So it's been a real pleasure to have you on and to have a laugh with you this evening, and close out the weekend with a really good show. Steve, for your wonderful service from episode whenever it was, 50 odd episodes ago to now. Obviously, I expressed how much it sucks that you're having to leave the show, but there is no animosity, there is no bad feeling, no ill will or anything else like that. It's just time is precious at the moment. So Steve is not leaving the team per se. He's leaving the show, which does open up an opportunity for a brand new co-host with Steve's blessing, which he gave earlier. So if you are interested in joining me on the show and interviewing the likes of Jeb Brooks and many, many more people on the show, you can get in touch and put forward why you should take Steve's place. But yeah, Steve, it's been fantastic to have you on the show and play a big part in sort of bringing this show forward a little bit more. And yeah, I think everyone in the chat can kind of agree with that and say you've brought a whole different edge to what it used to be to the show. So basically, I'll echo what a lot of the chat says. You will, I'll miss you on the show, but obviously you're not going anywhere because we'll still be, chatting away in the background and stuff. But the show will not be the same without you.
Yeah, it was a miss of me as well. I know he wasn't around for too long, but obviously Joe was part of it when I was here, so obviously I mentioned to him as well. But yeah, I will miss it. It will be very strange next Sunday, but unfortunately I've got new commitments at the football caused me a bit of a pickle. So yeah,
yes.
Never say never. I'm sure if there's a week with sickness or illness, you might have to put up with my fate again, but.
No, that'll be fine. I'm sure we can deal with it. But no. So next week, with whoever it may be, myself and whoever, we will be discussing a rather interesting topic, which I stumbled across during the week and thought actually that'd be really cool to talk about. We're going to talk about the rise and fall of a once Australian giant, Ansett Australia, and see just where it went wrong for them in the airline industry. Side note, it wasn't their own doing. A lot of people played a part in it, but you'll see that next week. So Ansett Australia next week, the rise and fall. If you're interested in that, do join us for that. So next Sunday, 7:30 p.m. is when you can catch me, not necessarily Steve, obviously not Jeb Brooks. He'll be doing other things. But we will sign off now. So Jeb, don't go anywhere after that. We'll have a quick chat afterwards. Just see how you get on and stuff like that. But if you'd like to say goodbye to those that are still watching.
Between now and the next time, see you in the departure lounge.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Take care. Awesome. We're going to do things a little bit differently now because Steve knows this is coming. So I'm going to sign off first, and Steve's going to have the absolute pleasure of doing the whole hand over the camera business to sign off for the very last time. So I will see you next week. And Steve, I will see you at some point, and I'll see you around. But everybody have a fantastic week. And I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.
And everyone, just again, a mass thank you. Don't be sad. It's not goodbye. What it is cheerio, my lovelies. Stay safe, stay sexy. Thank you for your incredible support and love. And until next time, take care. All right. Cheerio now. All right. Bye-bye.